PharmaPal.
You're listening to Bloomscast, the official podcast of Blooms.io, home of the bioactive library for mass spectrometry instant optimization. Let's dive into the latest in natural chemistry, bioactive discovery, and the future of lab innovation.
Today, we're turning our attention to a pretty amazing desert plant, Kaff Maryam.
Right. Also known as the Rose of Jericho.
Exactly. And we've got some really interesting research here that looks into, well, why this plant has been so important traditionally, especially in Arab countries.
Yeah, for centuries, particularly for women's health.
So we'll be exploring the science, looking at its bioactive compounds, what's actually in it, and the biological activities that researchers are reporting.
It's a great example of connecting that ancient wisdom with modern science, isn't it?
Definitely.
Get into the chemistry, antioxidants, maybe even hormone effects, and how advanced analysis is kind of uncovering these secrets. It really sheds light on those traditional practices.
Okay, so let's start there with the traditional uses. Our sources mentioned its roots in Arab countries. What specifically was it used for?
Well, for generations, especially somewhere like Egypt, it was, a key plant, often used during childbirth, apparently, to help ease labor.
Ease labor. Interesting.
Yeah, and also for general menstrual issues. There's even this cultural layer in Egypt, an association with good luck for childbirth.
Wow, so it's both a remedy and culturally significant. That's quite powerful.
It really is.
And this wasn't just contained to the Arab world, was it? It spread.
No, absolutely. Its use traveled across Asia. You see it mentioned in Malaysia, Indonesia, even southern Thailand.
For similar things.
Pretty much, yeah. Still mainly focusing on women's health, labor, menstrual discomfort, and the way people used it was usually quite simple.
How so?
Often just steeping it in hot water like making a tea or an infusion. Or sometimes they grind the dried plant into a powder and put it in capsules.
It's fascinating how one plant gets used for similar reasons across different cultures. Now, you mentioned hormone effects earlier. Some studies hint at why it might work.
Yes, exactly. There was a study, I think back in 2013, Baker and colleagues. They looked at mice and they found some interesting things. They reported estrogenic effects. So effects like estrogen. And also that it seemed to stimulate luteinizing hormone production.
Luteinizing hormone. That's involved in the menstrual cycle, right?
Correct. So while, it's mice, not humans, it does offer a potential scientific reason for why it was traditionally used for things related to menstruation and childbirth. It makes you think, perhaps these hormonal effects are key.
That's a really important link, isn't it? Moving from just knowing it was used to understanding a possible biological mechanism. Were there other traditional uses mentioned in the sources beyond women's health?
Yes, there were. Traditional healers apparently used it more broadly, too. Things like stomach problems, gastrointestinal issues, even hypertension and infertility were mentioned.
Really? Quite a range.
Yeah, but it's worth saying, the scientific backing for those broader uses seems less established. Still quite early days for research there.
Understood. It's still remarkable, though, the variety of traditional applications for one plant.
Okay, let's pivot a bit. What's actually inside Kaff Maryam? What are the chemicals making it work?
Right, the phytochemistry. Well, first off, it's got a decent amount of minerals. Things like calcium, iron, magnesium, zinc. It's quite a list.
Okay, essential minerals.
But then you get to the phytochemicals, the plant compounds. And it's rich in things like phenolics, flavonoids, lycopene, beta-carotene.
Compounds we often hear about as antioxidants.
Precisely. Many of them are known for that. And what's interesting is having both these minerals and these potent phytochemicals together. It suggests it might not be just one single magic compound, but maybe a combination effect contributing to its traditional uses.
A multi-pronged approach, maybe. Have scientists managed to isolate any specific compounds and study them individually?
They have, yeah. 2 flavonoids called anastatins A and B were isolated, and research by Yoshikawa back in 2003 showed they had hepatoprotective activity.
Hepatoprotective. So protecting the liver.
Exactly, potential liver protection. Wow. Okay, what else stands out?
Another really key one is taxifolin. It's also known as dihydroquercetin.
Taxifolin. Okay.
The same 2003 study identified it as a major component, and it's a strong antioxidant. Because it's so abundant, it's been suggested as a potential chemical marker.
A marker? How so?
Like for quality control. If you test a Kaff Maryam product and find a good amount of taxifolin, it could help confirm it's authentic and, potent, like a chemical fingerprint.
That makes a lot of sense, using a key compound to verify quality. Any other interesting isolates? You mentioned skin earlier.
Yes. In 2010, Nakashima and others identified 2 compounds, isoscelimben's A and B, and these showed anti-melanogenesis activity.
Anti-melanogenesis, meaning they affect skin pigment.
Melanin.
That's the idea. Potentially inhibiting the production of melanin, which darkens the skin.
So potential liver protection, antioxidant power, maybe even skin effects. The chemistry is certainly diverse. This brings us to the overall biological activities reported for the whole extracts. Sounds like a wide range. It really is.
Yeah.
When you look at studies on the crude extracts like Zinn and colleagues summarized in 2017, you see this broad spectrum. Antioxidant, obviously, but also antimicrobial.
Fighting microbes.
Yeah, and potentially helping with blood fat levels. That's anti-dyslipidemic activity. Plus anti-inflammatory effects, the liver protection we mentioned, and that anti-melanogenesis activity too. It's quite the list.
Almost like a natural toolkit.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, let's focus on a couple. We know about the liver protection from anastatins and skin potential from isoscelimens. What about the antioxidant side specifically?
Well, taxafolin is definitely a big player there, being so abundant. But it's not alone. Research by Al-Ghamdi in 2011 found other antioxidant compounds in the seeds, specifically more flavonoids, chlorogenic acids, other phenolics. So it seems to have multiple ways to combat oxidative stress.
Right, and circling back to the traditional uses for women, that hormone modulation idea keeps popping up.
It does. Those findings from the Baker study in 2013, the estrogen-like effects and the LH stimulation in mice, they offer a plausible link, don't they? A possible reason why it was traditionally turned to for labor and menstrual regulation.
It's still early days, needing human studies,
But it's a compelling connection between the tradition and the potential biology, absolutely. More research needed, for sure.
it really is fascinating how that traditional knowledge seems to be getting, well, potentially validated by modern science. How are scientists actually finding these specific chemicals in such a complex plant mix?
Well, that's where the really advanced technology comes in. Techniques like HPLC, high-performance liquid chromatography, often combined with detectors like PDA, photodiode array, and crucially, tandem mass spectrometry, or MS2. Al-Ghamdi's team used that back in 2011.
Tandem mass spec sounds complicated.
It allows for very precise separation and then identification of individual molecules based on their mass and fragmentation patterns. Think of it like a super-powered sorting and weighing machine for molecules. GCMS, gas chromatography mass spectrometry, is another key tool. Saranya used that in 2019.
So these machines are essentially dissecting the plant at the molecular level, taking it apart piece by piece.
You could say that, yeah. GCMS, for instance, can identify a huge range of different types of compounds, phenols, terpenes, fatty acids, sterols, all sorts. By analyzing their mass and how they break apart, scientists can figure out their exact structures. It provides that solid chemical evidence.
It's amazing what we can see now, and with Kaff Maryam getting more attention, making sure any products are good quality must be crucial.
Absolutely essential. A study in 2020 by Comthong really emphasized this need for quality control standards, pointing out there's still inadequate information out there.
So what did they suggest?
They looked at using thin layer chromatography, TLC, fingerprinting. It's, well, maybe a simpler, more practical method for routine checks.
TLC fingerprinting. How does that work for quality?
Basically, you separate the plant extract components on a coated plate, and they form a pattern of spots. This pattern is the fingerprint. By comparing the fingerprints to different samples, you can see if they're chemically similar.
Ah, okay.
Comthong's team used taxafolin, that marker compound we discussed, and they could see 16 distinct spots in extracts from Kaff Maryam from Egypt and Jordan.
16 spots, so a visual comparison tool.
Yeah.
But I guess, does the plant's chemistry change depending on where it grows?
It seems so. That same study by Comthong found that the amount of taxafolin actually varied between samples from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the sample from Mecca in Saudi Arabia apparently had less taxafolin. This variability could be down to all sorts of things: climate, soil conditions, maybe even how old the plant was when harvested.
So the environment really matters.
Definitely. It highlights that natural products aren't always uniform. They can vary.
Did they look at other characteristics that varied?
They did. Things like how much moisture was in this sample, the ash content after burning, how much stuff you could extract using water versus alcohol.
Did those vary too?
Yes. They found differences based on the origin for many of these physicochemical properties. For example, they generally got more material out using water extraction compared to ethanol extraction.
Suggesting many key compounds are water-soluble.
That would be the implication, yes. which fits with the traditional use of making infusions.
Makes sense. What about volatile oils, things that give it a scent?
They found the overall amount was pretty low, but another study, Abd el-Gabr in 2018, did analyze what little oil was there using GCMS.
And what did they find?
Things like human aldehyde, trans-beta-caryophyllene, linalool, caryophyllene oxide, familiar names from other essential oils. Even in small amounts, these could contribute something to the plant's overall profile or effect.
It just shows how complex studying these natural remedies is, doesn't it? So many variables.
Okay, so to kind of wrap up our deep dive here, what are the main points to take away about Kaff Maryam? I think the big picture is this. Kaff Maryam has this really impressive collection of bioactive compounds. And these compounds seem linked to a wide range of reported biological effects, antioxidant, potential hormone modulation, liver support.
A lot going on chemically.
Absolutely. And crucially, modern analytical tools, especially mass spectrometry and chromatography techniques, are absolutely key. They're letting us finally identify these specific compounds and understand the science behind those long-held traditional uses. It's bridging that gap.
Right, connecting the dots between tradition and lab bench. And it also really flags the importance of quality control, doesn't it? Especially given that natural variation.
Couldn't agree more. Consistent quality is vital if it's going to be used reliably. There's definitely still ongoing research needed both to fully understand its potential and to set those quality standards.
It's a fantastic example of that intersection between traditional knowledge and cutting-edge science.
It really is, and it opens up so many possibilities for understanding health and wellness through nature.
It certainly does. Makes you think about what other traditional plants might reveal under this kind of scientific lens. Well, thank you for joining me on this fascinating exploration.
My pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in to Bloom's Cast, brought to you by blooms.io. Stay curious, stay connected, and we'll see you next time on the frontier of natural product innovation.
PharmaPal.